Well, good morning. Go ahead and grab a seat. And as you guys do, you're going to know something a little bit different. We don't have tray tables anymore. We've got clipboards on the seat. So if you can grab that clipboard, on it is a connection card. It's the best way for us to be in contact with you and connected with you throughout the week. And so if you don't mind taking a minute and filling that out, we would greatly appreciate it. There's some things on the back of there for you to write down prayer requests or comments or thoughts on the service. Listen, if you are new to Element, and you are new to Element in the middle school, so are we. We have not been in here before. We were here last week one time for our practice, but we have never run service in here, and so we're excited to kick it off this week, and you guys are here to be the first part of it. So I want to just talk this morning about a couple different things, but we kicked off a series last week called Holidaze. It's all about navigating the holiday fog. I think a lot of us love the idea of the potential of 2018. If you're anything like me, you love the idea of a new year, a new start, a New Year's resolution. One of the things that I do every year is make New Year's resolutions. I rarely hold to them, but I always make them. And so I'm working on that. But I have these New Year's resolutions, and the thing that I love about December 31st is it's the end of a year, and there's so much potential for next year. And I love the idea of untapped potential. It's one of the things I talked about last week that I love about moving to a new facility is it's untapped potential. We can set up a lot more chairs. We can do a lot more stuff with kids ministry. We have a lot of space to just be creative and allow God to move and allow God to work. And so we're excited about that. But for me, when it comes to the new year, I don't get a fresh start most of the time. Like 2018 doesn't actually become a fresh start because, as we talked about last week, we overspend in our finances and we walk into 2018 carrying the baggage of 2017, or for some of us 2016 and 2015 and maybe even 2014, but I don't think it's just finances that we mess up. So last week was all about overspending dollars, and if that's a struggle for you, go back and listen to that message. It's real practical on how to have better self-control with your finances this season. But this morning is all about time. I think we don't budget time well at all, and not just like Element, but like as society, we just overspend our time. We overcommit ourselves. Like Christmas is great, and Christmas parties are fun, and there's a lot of stuff we can go out and do, and there's a lot of things we can be a part of, but so many of us like run ourselves ragged. I talked to a friend of mine this week, and he said, literally, when the new year comes, I take 2 weeks off just to recuperate. And I'm like, that makes sense, but that's not healthy. Like, taking time off is a good thing, but we've got to learn to stop overcommitting ourselves all the time. So for me, it came up this week. Hopefully you laugh at this story. I've learned to laugh at this story. I didn't have a lot of time this week. We were moving into a new facility. I was busy ordering some things. We had a lot of stuff going on. I was excited about it, but by Tuesday I was done. And that's bad because the week starts on Monday. So by Tuesday I was done, and I was like, Kim, call my mom, text her, do what you got to do. We got to get a nanny up here because if I have to keep taking care of a sick child and getting up at 4 a.m, I'm going to die. I don't think I can do it. I don't want to be around. I just want to leave him in his crib and let him cry so I can sleep. Turn off the monitor. He'll be fine and make it. That's not good parenting. So we texted my mom, said, hey, you want to come up this weekend and take care of Noah? And she was like, yep, great. So my mom is here. We're excited about that because we've had a break for the past couple days. It's been nice. But I got a text message Wednesday night from a friend of mine that we were supposed to go hunting on Friday. And he sends me this text on Wednesday night, and he goes, hey, got some things done early, really excited. I'm going to head out tomorrow, too. Do you think it'd be cool if I go to the farm? And the reason he's asking me is not for permission, but that I have the contact with this farm, so I just need to let a guy know that he's coming. And I was like, man, I really don't have time for it, but hunting with CJ would be nice tomorrow because I need a mental break because I feel like I'm about to snap. And so I texted him back, and I'm like, yeah, going to the farm would be good. I'll free some things up in my schedule. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was like, I'll free some things up. I can take on an extra 30 minutes. Guys, I go hunting at 4 a.m. If I'm not hunting, I don't have a lot that I'm doing at 4 a.m. So my thought was, it's only 30 minutes because I hunt from 4 to 9. I'm home by 9:30. Everything will be good. I pick him up. We drive. My alarm goes off at 4. I pick him up. We drive up there. We get to the farm about 5:30. Start putting on my boots. He's getting ready. He says, hey, I got everything together. My stand's further away than yours. I'm going to go ahead and get in the trees. I was like, awesome. I'll see you in there. I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I finish tying my boots, get out of the car, grab my backpack, put it on. I'm ready to get in, shut the back hatch, and go to open the door where my bow is, and the door's locked. And I'm like, that's weird, because the car hasn't been locked. So I go to open the driver's door. It's locked. I look inside. There's my keys sitting on the floor. The key fob that shouldn't let the doors lock. The key fob's dead. I didn't take the time this week to go get that battery changed and paid the price for that. Walk around the other side, try and open the door. Everything's locked. Can't get in the car. So I'm locked out of my car. My bow's locked in my car. I don't have any way to do anything. I've got my cell phone, but that's not going to do me much good because I'm with somebody else and I can't just call like AAA at 5 a.m. to come get me out of the woods. So I'm like, all right, what do I do? So I call my wife and she's like, that sucks. Have a good one. And she's real compassionate. She's like, I'm taking care of a sick baby. I don't have a lot of compassion for you right now. And I'm like, all right. So CJ texts me, in the woods, all set. And I'm like, great, I'm headed in now. I don't know what else to do. So I'm like, maybe I'll just get somewhere near him and I'll use like my deer call. He can use his. Maybe we can like call something in together and he can take it out and we can like, at least I can be part of what's going on. So I get in the stand, I text him, I'm all set. I go to pull the deer call out of my pocket and it says deer call can that you just flip over and it makes noise. I flip it over and it's silent. And I'm like, if a deer runs by right now, I'm going to throw this can at it. That's about the only hope I have of doing anything. And I'm not worried about you guys going hunting and locking your keys in the car, because the other part of it was this. I got frustrated with my car, and I didn't like try and yank the handle off, but I sat there and I like grabbed the door handle, and I just leaned back and I was like, I can't believe I did this. And as I did it, the door handle pulled away from my car, and so now I have to like take an extra 2 days to fix my car. Like, not only did I not get any sleep that night, I'm wasting an extra 2 days this week to take apart my car door so that I can fix it. And I feel like it's not the first time I've been there, where I've gone, it's just 30 minutes. It's just a little bit more time. I don't really have it, but I'm just going to try and make it work. I can just commit to one more thing, and it winds up costing me like 3 days. What was supposed to take 30 minutes and be a relaxing thing resulted in a really pissed off hunter, I don't even call me a hunter, really pissed off guy sitting in a tree stand in camo. And a person who doesn't know how to take apart their car door, and now I got to fix it this week. And so it's been an interesting week, but it's just that result of I just try to do one more thing. And I don't know if you've ever been there or if you can relate to that when we try and just commit to one more thing, it turns out costing a lot more than we expected. This morning we're going to talk about a guy who gets it. Now, not because he overcommits. Actually, Nehemiah is a guy who doesn't overcommit. But Nehemiah is going to give us a line, and there's one verse I want you to focus on this morning. I'm only going to preach 4 verses, but one of them I'm going to ask you to memorize. Because I think this season, it's got to be a verse that we get. And I really think for some of us, headed into 2018, this verse needs to be our New Year's resolution. That we just make it the priority, that we'd learn it, that we'd write it on our mirrors, that we'd put it in our cars, that we would put it somewhere so we can't forget what Nehemiah gives us. But before I get into that, I need to help you understand the story of Nehemiah. So Nehemiah is a king's cupbearer. He's not living in Jerusalem, but he lives in a different city. He's cupbearer for the king, so he helps serve the king. He hears about his hometown, and he hears that the walls have been torn down. Well, the walls are protection, and the walls fortify the city, and Nehemiah is heartbroken. And in Nehemiah 1, we see that he just goes and prays. He says, God, give me favor. Help me to speak to the king well. Help the king to see my need. Help the king to understand it, because the king's not from Jerusalem. He doesn't really care about Jerusalem, but help him to have compassion on me. And so in Nehemiah 2, he goes and talks to the king, and the king says, what do you need, and how long are you going to be gone? And he says, here's what I need, and here's how much time I need. And the king says, great, go do it. I'll give you whatever you need. And so Nehemiah heads out, and in Nehemiah 2, the end of it, we see he gets to the wall, and he goes out in the middle of the night and begins inspecting it and praying over it and begins just moving and begins leading the people. And we see Nehemiah 3, 4, 5, he leads this group of people to rebuild the wall. And so we start to see like the city of Jerusalem fortified again, and it's exciting, and he's pumped. And ultimately, the whole wall gets built in 52 days, but right before it's done, in Nehemiah 6, right before the wall finishes, there's a group of people that come against him. And they don't want to see the wall fortified, and they don't want to see the city protected, because they want the idea of being able to like go in and pillage the city anytime they want. And if they don't have protection, then we've got to go through if they don't have protection, we can just go over the wall. We don't have to worry about anything. If they build these walls, we got to go through the gates. And so they have this philosophy of let's just distract him. We don't have to like tell him that building the wall is stupid. But if we can just get him away from building the wall, if we can just distract him a little bit from his purpose, then we can just throw off the whole thing and derail it. And so Nehemiah responds to that, and we're going to take a look at it in Nehemiah 6. Here's what it says. Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab, and the rest of their enemies, the rest of Nehemiah's enemies, found out that I had finished rebuilding the wall and that no gaps remained, though we had not yet set up the doors in the gates. And so he keeps going. He says, so they sent him a message asking me to meet them at one of the villages in the plain of Ono. It's a bad plain. Oh no, that's a bad joke. Kim's told me to stop telling dad jokes. I can't help it. All right? But Nehemiah says, but I realized they were plotting to harm me. And here's the verse I want you to memorize. So I replied by sending them this message. I am engaged in a great work, so I can't come. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? Think about how insulting that is. These are leaders of other areas. These are like leaders of other forces. And Nehemiah goes, I'm doing a great work. I'm not coming for you. And in case you're missing it, why should I stop working to come and meet with you? There's nothing for me to get from that. I'm good. 4 times they sent the same message, and each time I gave them the same reply. So let's take a look at it again. I am engaged in a great work. Here's what I want to know. Are you engaged in a great work? I think you have a great calling. I just don't know if we've engaged in a great work. See, as a parent, I have a great calling to be a father and to show love and to care and to nurture. As a husband, I have a similar calling, built less around Kim's dependency on me but this idea of interdependence, that we work together. But I'm called to care for her and to love her and to give her compassion. I'm called to do my job well and to do it wholeheartedly. I have a great work that I'm called to. Ultimately, my great work is to live a life worthy of my calling, which is to serve God and make Him known. But I'm convinced that some of us have a great work that we're sacrificing for some things that just are busy. But Nehemiah says, no, I'm in a great work. My job is to build this wall, and talking with you might be enjoyable, and we might be able to share some good food. I think personally you're trying to beat me up, but regardless, oh, that's not good. Regardless, I'm doing a great work, and I'm not going to come down. So no. And if you're confused at all, why should I leave what I'm doing to come down for you? And 4 times they send the same message. They don't even change what they're saying. There we go. I'm engaged in a great work, so I can't come. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? See, I think we as a group of people and we as a society have bought into the idea of busyness. Think about it. If I ask you how you're doing this morning, most of us reply, things are good, been busy, but overall good. Oh, I'm real busy right now. It's just a busy season. When do we say it's not a busy season? And honestly, I went to the tattoo shop a couple weeks ago, and somebody asked me how I was doing. I was like, good. And they're like, you're not too busy? And I'm like, no, we're getting ready to move, and we got a lot of things going on, but man, it feels like we got a good plan around it, and I'm just not that busy. And immediately I started getting made fun of. They were like, oh, you're lazy. They're like, and one guy's going, man, you just need to go take a nap. You just seem so stressed. And I'm like, I'm not that stressed, Felix, because I'm not overstretched. I haven't overcommitted my time. I'm able to have space to think. I'm able to have space to operate. I'm able to have space to plan and prepare. And I've built some margin into my schedule, just like we're supposed to be building margin into our budgets and into our emotions and into those things. I've built some margin into my schedule so when something comes up, I have the space and the capacity to take it on and to take care of it. And so I think we've got to learn to build some of that in, but we've got to learn that the opposite of lazy is not busy. The opposite of busy is deliberate integration. We've got to learn to integrate our lives. Let me help you understand something. Balance is a lie. You can't achieve it. And even if you figure out one way to achieve it, the moment anything else changes, you're immediately back out of balance. There is no such thing as actually being able to have long-standing balance in life. I'm not saying we shouldn't strive for resting and caring for our family and working a job. I'm not saying go do 80 hours a week at the job and say, well, Ryan said balance is impossible, so I don't need to care about my family. No, that's not the permission I'm giving you. I want to encourage you to be less busy and more deliberate. Have you guys ever seen a squirrel run around? This is one of those things I get to see in the woods often. They don't go anywhere. Like most squirrels, like literally I've watched for an hour a squirrel chase another squirrel on the same tree branch. Like just running up it, jumping to another one, and coming back. They just make big circles. But a lot of times they're not even running in circles. A lot of times they go like 6 steps this way, and then 4 steps that way, and then dart back over here. When I try and drive down the road, if a squirrel runs out in front of me, I'm not trying to sound harsh. I'm not trying to take out that squirrel. But rarely do I slow down because he's going to dart one way and then dart right back, and it doesn't really matter what I do. Squirrels like run and are just pulled from one direction to the other. And I watch so many people live life like that. Like we surround ourselves and like the in-laws are over here and the bank is over here and the mortgage payment's over here and the taking care of the house is over here and then like the friends that we have are over there. And we just run from one thing to another, trying to satisfy whoever seems to be noisiest. So at the holidays, it's like, I got to go this way. And then it's like, thank God I get to leave that. And I'm going to run over here. And now I got to pay the bills and I got to do this. And man, I just need time to relax. And so I'm going to run there. And we run ourselves ragged just running in circles. And the problem, I think, for most of us, at least when I live my life that way, is I never feel like I'm actually going anywhere. And so I sit down in like my exhausted stupor and I just kind of hit the deck and go, God, what have I been doing and where have I even gone? And when I start to look around, I'm like, I haven't moved much. I mean, I've run a lot, but I haven't actually gone much of anywhere. My encouragement to you is to figure out how to integrate life, to start drawing things together to point towards one great purpose. Because if we have a great purpose, then let's figure out how to pursue it. So that our marriage points in the direction of our calling. So that our parenting points in the direction of our calling. Those aren't opposing things. Those are things that are working together. So that our house and the things that we have or the way that we leverage our job and our finances are helping point us in the direction of our calling. If we could learn to get those things to focus as if they were just one big funnel that's pointing us in the direction we're trying to go, I think we'd be much less busy and much further down the road. So I want to give you just 3 practical ways to prevent busyness this season. The first one is this: determine your goal and write it down. There's a stat, and I didn't look it up this week, but I know there's a stat out there, and I've seen it multiple times. I've heard multiple pastors reference it, that when we write something down, we're far more likely to accomplish it. I'm going to say you're 90% more, but I actually don't know. I'm just making up a number. Right? 80% of facts that you hear are made up, including that one. Determine your goal. What's your purpose this season? What's your goal this season? Maybe it's spend time with the kids and laugh together. Not just like be in the same room and everybody's on their own device. Maybe it's spend time in the same room and laugh together. Maybe you need to do a road trip and go on a hike, and I know it's cold, but dress them up and just get away and take them to a place that the phone can't even connect to cell service anymore. Maybe it's I need to spend some time with my spouse. Maybe it's I need to get that project done so I can take a couple days off around Christmas. So Christmas morning isn't spent checking email and seeing if that approval came through yet. Maybe it's spend some time with friends. Maybe it's I need a date for Christmas Eve at Element. You don't need one, but if you want one, you can do that. But determine your goal this season and write it down. Secondly, evaluate your schedule in light of that goal. Here's what that looks like. I have a goal to make sure that Element is great this Christmas Eve. We're sending out 4,000 postcards to the half mile that's right around us. There's 2,030 houses within a half mile, and we want every one of them to get 2 postcards from us, one this week and one next week that says, hey, we want you to be a part of our service. We've handwritten them. At least the first batch has been almost done. It can be completely handwritten. And here's what it says. Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to invite you to Christmas Eve at Element. Our worship experience starts at 10 a.m., and we'd love for you to join us. Have a great week. Ryan or Jason or whoever sat down and wrote those things, they signed their name. We're praying that God moves. We're praying that we have to set up a lot more seats. We're praying that all these people show up, and we want to make sure that we have this environment set up. And my job is to make sure that this environment is a great environment where the gospel can be shared and people can receive Jesus. And so that's my goal for this season. And so I'm excited about it, but I've got to evaluate my schedule in light of that goal. So when hunting comes up, it might sound good, but I went hunting Thursday, and it wound up costing me hunting on Friday because I had to reevaluate and went, I don't have time to go out today. It would be fun. It would be nice. I would enjoy it. I'd like a break, but right now I can't take one. I've already taken my day of rest. I don't get another one until next week. The idea of Christmas parties come up. We got friends that say, hey, we want to just go out to the mall. Let's go out and grab dinner. Let's go out and do this thing. And I'll be real. If they're people that I'm inviting to Christmas Eve, I'm going to spend some time with them. But right now, if they're people that just want to just go hang out, I'm not doing that much. My family's in town, and I haven't said more than like 10 words to them since they've been here. I've been like, here's Noah, thank you. Let me go do what I got to go do. Like, they're in here so that I can be more integrated into the accomplishing the goal. So I want to know, what is your goal? I need to spend more time with my husband this Christmas. I need to laugh with my kids more often. Great. Is the work Christmas party helping you connect with your kids? No, but it's a chance to let loose and drink a little bit. Great, but you're sacrificing something great on the altar of something fun. Like, recognize that. I think for far too long, we as people have sacrificed great on the altar of fun and convenient and what's right in front of us. Because great takes some determination to accomplish. And it takes some faithfulness. We've got to be more faithful with it. So determine your goal and write it down. And then evaluate your schedule in light of that goal. And then 3, this is a simple one. Learn to say no and stick to it. If you're like me, we've learned how to say no, but we just don't ever stick with it. Like, I'll tell people no, but then I feel bad. Hey, I can't get dinner with you. Okay, got it. And then somebody will get an attitude, and I'm like, all right, I'll make it work. And so I've learned to say no, but I just don't really follow through with that. And so people have learned that they can just ask for my time, and I'll just pretty much give it away. But here's what I want you to understand. Last week we hit finances, and I've brought this up here at Element before. Finances, you can always go out and make more. I mean, for some of us, you can't do that, but for most people, you can always go get more finances. That's not an unlimited resource. I mean, that's not a totally limited resource. Time, you only have 168 hours. There's no amount of things you can do to create more hours in your week. It's 168 hours a week. We've got to learn to budget our time, and we've got to learn to say no and stick to it. Because there's a lot of good things that are out there that'll take us away from great things that we're called to accomplish. See, the ladies in our church have been going through a small group called the Best Yes. And it's not about the idea that you've got to find the one good thing that's out there. It's about there's a lot of good things out there. You've got to figure out what the best yes is. You've got to figure out what your goal is, what your calling is, and then learn to say no to a lot of good things that are just going to take you away from accomplishing something great. In a leadership book, Jim Collins writes it this way: good is the enemy of great. Because most times with good, we can find ourselves satisfied. But it gets in the way of ever accomplishing something great. Because we won't sacrifice something good. And I think in the Christmas season, we run around and we overcommit our time and we sacrifice great on the altar of good. And I'm convinced that there's so much more for us out there. Nehemiah said, I'm engaged in a great work. I don't know what your great work is, but I want to challenge you to determine it. If you know what it is already, if there's something that's just in your mind, I want you to write it down as a prayer request on that card. Because I want to pray for it over the next few weeks. I want to pray that it would be the great work that you actually stay faithful to. And then we've got to learn to say no. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? That's arrogant. But it's deliberate. And it's integrated. I'm working on a wall, and I'll do whatever it takes to build the wall. I'm not wasting my time coming down for people who are trying to be a distraction. One of the ways this has come up for me in life has been Christmas morning. Christmas morning, a lot of times I've seen families, and our family's done this some, that we'll get up on Christmas morning, we'll open everything at like 7 a.m., because that's what every time every kid wakes up on Christmas, I feel like, if not earlier. They get up, they open presents, and then we go, all right, we got to be to grandmom's at 10. Pick one gift, and let's get over there. And then we grab like one thing out of the 5 or 6 that we got, and we run to grandmom's house. And we don't really get a chance to play with it much, because at 2, we got to go to somebody else's house. And we got to head there, and we got to be a part of that thing, and then we got to celebrate Christmas over there. And by the time we get to like the 28th, we can actually play with our presents. But for the first couple days, it's a bunch of just running around and running around and running around. And Kim and I have said this from day one. We've said our schedule will not be like that on Christmas. And my mom lives in Tennessee, and she said, when are you guys coming down to Tennessee for Christmas? I said, we will never come down to Tennessee for Christmas. Like ever. We will not be there Christmas Day. I'm not doing that. We're going to spend time at home on Christmas morning. And so Kim and I, this year, are going to do the same thing we did last year. We're going to get up, and we're going to make waffles, and we're going to enjoy each other. We've got pajamas, and we're going to laugh, and we're going to watch our child not open a present, although this is debatable. He doesn't know what he's doing. A 6-month-old will sit and smack a box until we eventually open the present for him. All right? She says he's going to do more than that, but I'm not so convinced. But we're going to laugh, and we're going to take a bunch of pictures, and we're going to enjoy time as a family. And at 2 or 3 or 4, or whenever we feel like going over other people's houses, we're going to go out and we're going to spend time with the rest of the family. But it's because for us, we know that the Christmas season is busy. We know that as a pastor, Christmas Eve is going to be hard, and we're going to push, and we're going to work, and Christmas morning is going to be a chance to just relax. And a lot of my family's involved at Element, and so honestly, what we do on Christmas is that in the afternoon on Christmas Day, we get Chinese food. We're not worried about cooking a whole meal because it takes too much time, and we're all exhausted from the day before. So we just enjoy and relax and enjoy being around one another. And I want to challenge you this Christmas, if you're a parent, even if you're single, stop running from one place to another. Take a break and enjoy the moment for what it is. Maybe you spend the night somewhere so that you can enjoy time with family in the morning. But I'd really challenge you, don't spend the whole day on the road. And when it comes to Christmas this year, figure out a way to accomplish your goal. Write it down. Learn to say no. And stick with it. Now the band's going to come back up. We've got one last song that we're going to do, and this has really been a prayer. So one of the things that really is our focus for 2018 is this. As a church, we've said our great work is that we're going to work out of the overflow of intimacy that we experience with God. That we could get 1,000 people to show up on Christmas Eve, and we'd celebrate that like crazy, but that they didn't come here for a cool worship service and a good-looking pastor, although that's what they're going to get. That they came here to meet Jesus and have their soul satisfied. And we believe that the only way we can accomplish that as a church, or the only way we can accomplish that as a worship team that's up here on the stage, is that we would be intimate with Christ and that we would just be able to show Him off. Because He's ultimately the one that can satisfy their souls. He's ultimately the one that can satisfy their desires. And so I've been asking the band, hey, can we work out of the overflow with worship? Can we make sure that the songs we're doing are songs that are speaking to us? And so a couple months ago, I was listening to this song by Elevation, and I was like, hey guys, this song has been killing me recently. Like every time I listen to it, I'm getting choked up. There's different things going on. Can we pull this song off? And it's a song we had actually done before, but I asked them to do it, and the response a lot of times from the band is, yeah, I'll check it out. Or, I'm not sure we can pull that one off. And it's not because they're not supportive. It's just they're like, hey, I don't know if we have what we need to make that happen. But this was one that like Francis and Nadia and Dave all got back real quick. They're like, love the song, can't wait to do it. We'll do it for Christmas. I was like, great, let's do it. But I want to show you the lyrics. Here's what it says. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. See, I think this Christmas season, we've got to understand that our confidence isn't in what others say about us. Our confidence isn't in how others view us. If they think we're lazy or they think we're too busy, it doesn't really matter. Our confidence is rooted in the fact that God is still holding us and that He's never failed us. And so I want to challenge you this morning to be committed to the great work. Do the work of discovering what it is. And once you know the great work, write it down. Evaluate your schedule and learn to say no. And here's what I'm convinced of. As we head into 2018, we'll be carrying a lot less baggage of 2017. And we'll be better set up to minister out of the overflow of what God's doing in us. Let me pray for you. God, I thank you for who you are. God, I thank you for the way that you work and the way that you move. God, I thank you that you can speak through me on a week where I've been overscheduled and overbusy, and that this message is one I need to be sitting in the chair for just as much as I need to be on stage communicating. God, I pray that you'd be with us this season. Help us not to overcommit our time. It's so easy. It's so easy to just say yes. But God, help us to be people determined to accomplish something great, whether it be spending time with family or pointing people to you, or God, just laughing with the people around us. Help us to take the time we need and help us to learn to say no. God, I thank you for who you are and for the way you move. I pray that you'd speak through this song as we sing it. It's in your name I pray. Amen.